Hi there, this is Necromancy for Kids, Necromancy for Kids on Dueling Book. I decided to make this video kind of randomly because I've been really interested in GOAT format, but not so much the playing the same old decks in the competitive scene, more of playing casual decks or decks that people don't really play on average. And I thought that I would post some of the decks that I've made. So this one here that I'd like to start with, one of my favorites that I pretty much came up with on my own, although I'm sure some people have done something like it in the past, is a Final Attack Orders deck. It revolves around this card here, Final Attack Orders, and it says all face-up monsters in the field are changed to attack position, and their battle positions cannot be changed. Keep in mind that battle positions cannot be changed is due to card effects. They still can be changed, just not by manually. One of the things that first comes up as soon as you see that effect is obviously you want to play really high attack monsters, things like Goblin Attack Force and Giant Orc that usually go to defense, but they immediately go back to attack mode as soon as they change due to final attack orders. As well, you could potentially OTK an opponent if they have Scapegoat out and you play Asura Priest and attack all of their tokens. Something that people don't realize, and that I've had to show pretty much every single person every time I play this deck, there's a ruling, and it's an old ruling, it's not a brand new one, that when you attack a face-down defense position monster, it's actually changed to attack position before damage calculation. Meaning that if they have a Magician of Faith and you attack them with a Kaiku, you're going to deal battle damage still. And then you get your effect off and such. Again, you can look it up for yourself, but I've had to show the link to pretty much everybody I've used this deck against, so keep that in mind if you plan on using this for yourself. Some people might not believe you. So basically, with those things in mind for this card, I went for an extremely aggressive strategy. Obviously, playing the Asura Priest, even though I'm not Chaos, just for killing goats and potentially OTKing the opponent in a matchup like that. Blade Knight is a pretty good beater and searchable with Rhoda, which you play 2 of. And if the opponent is playing flips, potentially you could negate their flip effects. Mainly it's just here because it has good stats, and yeah. Breaker is just a decent beater as well. Obviously getting rid of back row is pretty important for this deck that relies heavily on the battle phase. It's all about dealing damage to the opponent. I have a Cyberjar here to summon out our big monsters. Pretty much everything we play is going to be bigger than the opponent's monsters, so we can easily take them out. And they're pretty much going to be stuck on their battle phase. And if they decide to put things face down, again, final attack orders will change it to attack position before damage calculations. So it's pretty much the same as if they put it in attack. DD is silent, decent removal for things that are too big for even Goblin Attack Force and such to take care of, like Jinzo, D-Mach, things like that. And obviously searchable with Reinforcement in the Army. DD Warrior Lady, much the same thing. Has less attack, but obviously the effect is more likely to work. Also helps us if the opponent's playing some super high defense monsters or something like the Creator, which otherwise we might not be able to get over. 3 Giant Orc. Pretty good. It's worse than Goblin Attack Force, but it can actually attack on the turn you play it, unlike Toon Goblin Attack Force. As well, being a Dark, in the side deck here, we have Deck Devastation Virus, which you can tribute Giant Orc. So that's something to keep in mind. Then we have Ejection Fairy Lily that can just completely wreck an opponent. Pretty much there's no way for them to save themselves from this card. It's one of my favorite cards, in Go format and Yu-Gi-Oh in general. It was one of the first cards that I got as a kid. I was super excited for it. But pay 2,000 to make its attack 3,400. It's pretty much going to run over anything, even huge beaters the opponent might play. I don't think there's any card that's regularly played that can get over that. So there's that. Kaiku help disrupt chaos monsters, decent attack as well. And if they use Tsukiyomi to put it face down again, final attack orders changes you to attack mode before damage calculation. So if they attack it with Tsuk, you just activate final attack orders, then during the damage step, or before the damage step, Kaiku gets switched to attack, and then they lose their Tsukiyomi, and you get to banish 2 of their cards. So not good for them. Slate Warrior is to help alongside, if the opponent again is playing big beaters like Monarchs and such, helps you to run over them. As well, I kind of like the funky strategy of playing this face down while you have the final attack orders out, so that it ends up flipping and getting bigger when they attack it, and then their monster is going to get destroyed. Tribe-infecting virus, again, it's a beater, gets rid of their cards, lets you get in for game. And then obviously play Delinquent Duo, Graceful Charity, and Pile Greed, and Mystical Space Typhoon. Have 2 Noblemen across out, because even though we're playing final attack orders, we're not always going to have it. Plus, we don't want them to get their flip effects off, even if we're going to do a bunch of damage to them. Premature Burial, of course, to bring back our big beaters and such. To reinforce on the army. Call the Haunted, again, bring back our beaters. Compulsory evacuation device, 100% just to get rid of Thousand Eyes Restrict and potentially get in for that last bit of damage for the game. Also helps to get rid of Spirit Reapers and things that are going to prevent you from, getting in. 2 Dust Tornado, because we really don't like back row and we really hate stall decks. We don't really have anything that can attack if Messenger pieces up except for Lily, but she's not gonna like doing that. Then we have Mirror Force, of course. Ring of Destruction, especially powerful here because all of our monsters have decent attack. Solemn Judgment to protect our final attack orders. And Torrential Tribute if things are starting to go bad for us. Some things to consider in this deck. This side deck isn't really side decks. Some of them are, but it's mostly here to show the cards that you could play in this deck. Don Zalug is a pretty decent card to have because, again, switch to attack mode before the damage step. You can't do the Don Zalug set play, unfortunately, because, again, it's going to go to attack. But, if opponent is playing goat tokens or, a lot of flips that aren't Dekoichi, attack it with Zalug, end up dealing some damage and then ripping a card from their hand. Then there's Zambira, which you would side in or include if you want to play deck Devastation Virus. As well, it's a rota target, so that's another reason that you might play it. You could definitely main deck it, but I put it in the side for when I want to play deck Devastation Virus. These double snare for the side deck is just to get rid of Imperial Order. Heavy Storm, you could include in the main deck. I included the 2 Dust Tornadoes instead, because obviously you don't want to destroy your own final attack orders, and plus you might have some set judgments you don't want to get rid of either. Lightning Vortex, I mean, that's just if your opponent's also playing an aggressive deck or something like Ham and they have really big creatures, you side that in so that you can get rid of them and go in for your own game. Same thing for Bottomless. If your opponent's playing big creatures too, you can get rid of it. And again, if your opponent's playing a lot of cards, Dust Tornado. And then I always just fill out an extra deck with other random crap. So that's basically the deck profile. And again, you could play things like Toon Goblin attack force and a Toon table of contents in the deck. And if you do that, you could also include Toon Gemini Elf, which again has a pretty it has a decent effect. And again, with final attack orders, it gets flipped into attack for the damage. So you could set it, and then if the opponent attacks into it, they end up losing their monster, having to have a card ripped from their hand, which is a pretty decent. But again, in this deck, you're not really planning on setting, so your opponent, could gnome a cross out that would otherwise be useless. Might be something to consider to side deck or include just like a one of. And that's the deck profile. Planning on making a few more of these before. I don't know if Dueling Book is still gonna be around after the year. I think I saw that they had HTML5, but I wanted to make these since really only play on Dueling Book at the moment. And if anyone actually watches this, let me know what you think and if you have your own ideas. And have a great Christmas.